Well, it was the Evanston YMCA that I first stepped foot in, and I was 9 years old, and I went to take swimming lessons. And I kept up with my older brother, and that was a good thing. And that was pretty much what was available for girls at the Y in that time. Kind of dropped out during those junior high years. Then in high school, I was in a Y club. And, during that time, though, I did go to Camp Echo almost every summer. There were some years in that junior middle school time that I didn't, but then started back on staff in high school and in college, worked for some wonderful people, and let's see, went to family camp after that, and I was on staff at the Y and worked as a volunteer in swimming and youth and government, and then got paid for youth and government. And let's see, what happened after that? We kind of fizzled out after family camp and the kids went to college, and that was sort of the end of it at the Evanston Y. But not at the end of it for YMCAs. I probably touched every decade from the 40s through the 90s. As a kid, what I remember is we stayed in those little teeny staff cabins, and there were probably 8 or 9 of us crammed in those cabins, but it seemed just fine to me. And what do I remember about that? During the cabin times, I remember devotionals. They were very meaningful to me. It was a time when we could talk to one another at a level that we normally didn't talk about. Usually you're out running and competing and what have you, but that was a talking time, and I remember that clearly. I remember the hill where we had chapel, and that was way different. I remember getting up, and in family camp, we used to call it the Camp Echo Salute, where you got all the dust and dirt off your bottom side. Didn't have any benches there or anything, but it was located in the same place and overlooked the water and was a beautiful spot. I remember the bell. There was always a bell of one sort or another, varying heights, and with and without ropes, depending upon what morning it was. I remember flag raising as being a very important time. And a lot of things that happened when I was 9, 10, 11 years old at camp still happen there today. And the feeling is definitely the same. It's a feeling where you don't really have to worry about what you look like. You don't have to worry about what other people really think about you. You can just enjoy it, have a good time, and be who you want to be. And I think that camp continues to be that way, so I love that. Closing campfire, probably the most meaningful time during then is when I was a counselor. Closing campfires were happy, sad times, but mostly nostalgic times. And one campfire that I really remember from family camp was the first time I returned with my children. And I knew that they were going to experience what I had experienced, and I just looked forward to do it with them, and it was really great. And they stuck with camp. They went through camper and junior counselor, the whole bit, and had experiences that were just as moving as I had, so that was neat. It felt really different, but I was so fortunate to work for Zeal Moore, because she was a great one. She would lift you up and make you feel like you could do just about anything, and so you really tried to do that. I was hired to do the junior high program, which was Junior Tri-High Y, and it was a 5-point program just like the High Y was. And I was straight out of college, and I thought it was a huge responsibility. What did I love about it? I love the fact that even though the kids came to the Y and they came only to be social, that was their primary purpose, is to see whom they could impress. When you talk to the girls one-on-one, they really got it. They understood what the Y was trying to do for them. So even though they tried to fight it, that was their developmental period to fight authority, They got it. They went with it. They did their service projects. They did their educational programs and kind of got into it. So that part I really loved. The thing I liked most about working at the Y was when I got to do youth and government. And we had model UN and city youth and government and state youth and government. Probably one of the highlights where I knew a couple of the kids who went through the city youth and government program and then state youth and government, and they also did the judicial end of city youth and government and became attorneys as adults, and said that that experience was really influential in their choice of vocation. And I thought that was really wonderful. I like to be able to influence people in that way. Not that I did it, I just sort of helped facilitate it. Have you talked to Frank Hoover? I sure hope so, because he did so much with city youth and government, and was an alderman and came in and worked with the kids and helped them come up with good ideas, and he was fabulous. Counselors were very important people to these kids. It would happen on a swim team. You know, if the coach was really outstanding and cared about you, then that could have a huge influence on how you did and how you approached further growth in your life. And then, of course, I think Zenal was an inspiration to more people than she would ever know. She's still one of my dearest friends today. And if I really have a problem, that's who I go to. And I think that there are people who are like that. I just saw Katie. I know Katie has mentors in the Y. I think what really comes to mind is what our club program, both for the boys and girls, stood for. And it was a 5-point program. Let me see if I can remember them. Social, educational, service, I went through them on the way here. I can't remember the other two right now. But I think they touch all spiritual, and they touch all aspects of one's life. And so you get some really important standards that get kind of ingrained in you about how you need to be as a human being toward others, toward your community, and for yourself as well. And that sticks with you. So kids who go through this program are fortunate to be able to spread that. It's not the only place you can get it, but it's one of the places. It's moved from the old Lord's store downtown to the YMCA it is today, and now the McGaw Y, which is so, it's such a welcoming place, and I cannot imagine it being anything other than what it is to this community. It's so important and well respected. And Bill Geiger, of course, has just raised the notch. The word strong really, really typifies what I think the Y is and what its product is. I think the Y produces not only physically strong kids and people, but it produces emotionally and spiritually stronger people. So I like that motto. Sounds good to me. My dream would be that it never lose its core values. I know that the community has changed and people have changed so much. The YMCA started out as a very Christian organization, whatever that means, I'm not real sure. But it certainly was based on a power of good. And I hope that the Y never loses that. I know today you can't talk about Jesus. You can't talk about some of those things that we talked about in the 1940s at the Y, because it's not being sensitive to the needs of everybody who attends. But the spiritual underpinning and the ethical and moral underpinning that goes along with that is something that the Y can never afford to lose, nor can this country afford to lose. I think what the McGaw YMCA is a place where you need to raise your family. It needs to be a part of your life. They need to experience, as you as a family need to experience the friendship, the honesty, the ethics, the morality, the caring, all the things that make for people who are strong. And that's what the YMCA does and is, and it's a place for families. I think probably one thing that I thought was so valuable, particularly about the youth and government programs, is that all of the kids who participated in that worked hard. They cared very much. Their hearts and souls were in what they were doing. And I believe that they're far better citizens today because of that experience.